Oh man,
Yeah,
it's been a minute.
I'm gonna pull up the link here and share this in another window while we're going. So bear with me just a moment.
Yep,
Do do do.
people
Yeah.
do.
What is that? Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, that all got weird.
Got so weird.
Got this whole thing now where it switches your
Oh
profile when you're administering a page or a group, and it's
yeah.
just been, you know,
Why'd you have to make it weird, Greg? Why'd you have to make it weird?
it's what I do. Hey, there's CJ.
Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hey,
man.
look at
Good to
that.
see you alive and well.
I
Out in
am
the field, doing the things,
doing the things.
talking to the people.
That's what we do, man. It's been
That's what we do.
an interesting week. What's today, Monday? Yeah, this time last Monday, we were trying to figure out what was going on. You know, what was going to happen, who needed to be where. And then Tuesday came and shit hit the fan pretty quick.
Yeah, Monday night we actually thought we were going to be ground zero. So, it's been a tough time because whether you are in the end in the bullseye or not, the preparing for that. And I don't just mean the, getting supplies preparing. I mean the emotionally preparing and the worry about you and your family and everybody you know.
Yeah.
I was not ready. Not on the emotional standpoint. I think all the logistics and stuff, most of the people that do organizing and stuff, we're serial uh, checklists. Check the things off the list and do the things and make sure you have this, that, and the other.
right.
Really do think we have to start some type of check the things off the list and do the things
Sorry
to
about that.
it's okay, about our mental health or something. I don't know, because a lot of us go through some pretty traumatic things, or we see pretty intense things, and the toll that it takes on your person.
Right.
Insane. Are we live already on Facebook?
Oh yeah, we're live.
Oh, nice. Just
Yeah.
making sure.
Yeah, we started, but we started without you. So for those that may be new to joining us or haven't caught CJ on with Sam and I before, CJ is an activist and organizer in Manatee County, which is Sarasota, Bradenton, the area immediately south of Tampa Bay. Not what you would right away consider to have been the hardest hit area, but substantial damage, substantial power loss, substantial flooding in Manatee County. And of course, where that lands the hardest is on poor communities. It lands on communities that that don't have a lot of resources or a lot of votes in local politics or regional politics. For example, I spent some time on Saturday down in Tampa, the area east of Nebraska Avenue between Hillsborough and Sly. A neighborhood that had still been without power till a few hours before we got there. Davis Island didn't lose their power. Carrollwood didn't lose their power, or it wasn't kept off for 3 days. But the poor neighborhoods, that's what happens. And what was kind of striking about it was they were used to that. The people that live in those neighborhoods were not at all surprised that things hadn't been restored yet. And that's
it's the unfortunate truth. That's actually a debate that I was telling a former chairperson here. The Democratic Party is a good friend of mine, and I really do appreciate her ability to help me kind of bounce stuff off politically. And immediately here, I mean, people sometimes forget Manatee County is famous for a lot of things, and usually none of them are good. For example, Vaccine Gate that happened in the state of Florida, that was here in Lakewood Ranch, where one of the county commissioners created a VIP list, and it was the first vaccine site in the state in Lakewood Ranch. The excuse was is because of the age of the demographics, but that she was caught. She's actually she's an active county commissioner here, but she is set to have a hearing by the Florida State Ethics Committee because she was found there was probable cause that she violated her oath of office and her authority because she literally sent, using county email, which is the dumbest thing you can do, a list of people, including herself, that needed to get the vaccine first. But these are the same people that were with Trump about anti-vax and all that other bullshit. So, it's the hypocrisy in and of itself is astounding. But more than that, this time around, here in East Manatee, we have a lot of agriculture. There's a lot of farms, which means there's a lot of farm workers. But I find it disturbing that everybody's focusing on the farms. All the farms right now are like, oh, we need help, oh, our cows, oh, our chickens. And it's like, okay, where are the farm workers?
Mm.
Everybody's talking about the farms, and we've gotten into some fistfights, proverbially, politically here with the farms here because they suck. They have poor working conditions. They've never really cared about their laborers, shit pay, and this has been an ongoing thing since I've grown up here, and so now they're all anti-socialism, but now they want all the FEMA money. Now they're asking everybody to come and help, and yeah, let's come together. Well, I don't feel bad for the farmers. You have fucking insurance. You have the cash flow. Hire people to clean up your shit. If you weren't prepared, that's on you, motherfucker. But then, what about the farm workers? That's that out of all of this. Now, all the county commissioners here have gone over there. They set up already temporary showers and stuff because East Manatee is horrible. There's flooding. Right now, what's happening is the water's going back. So, water came in, water's got to go back. So there's areas, there's still 4 or 5 feet of water, and it's receding extremely slowly to the degree where they're expecting it to stay flooded for a few more days, which means an entire East County will not have running water or power for a significant amount of time right now. And you're not talking just, a couple days, no, because their infrastructure was totally trashed. And in District 2 here, which is the majority minority district, it is one of the last ones that's starting to get power. I lived in District 2. I live in District 2 currently, and we just got power, thankfully, on our street Saturday night. But I have every suspicion and reason to believe, because it's literally only my house and a few others, just one transformer. I feel like somebody flipped the switch because they're like, this motherfucker's about to complain. They got my number already just to keep me happy. But then I walk around my neighborhood and it's pitch black. Last night I was talking to Sam. I had just left Sarasota County, which is like literally the difference of 10 miles away from where I live. I mean, this is the perspective people sometimes don't understand about these types of storms.
Yeah.
If it had kept its original path, Manatee and Sarasota would look right now like Captiva and Sanibel do. And St. Pete would look like we do, like southern Sarasota.
Mm-hmm.
And then north of St. Pete, Clearwater area would look like us more than anything. I mean, this thing was massive. 10 miles just due south of us, a 15-minute drive from my house, even worse than around my neighborhood. And over there, they're not expecting power until Sunday this week at earliest.
Wow.
For most people.
Yeah.
And even here in Manatee County, they're still telling us Thursday would be the earliest they could get power to 95% of the community. So, and that's just FPL. There's other, energy companies here that are probably going to be much slower because they're smaller and they don't have the infrastructure in place to be able to meet the type of demand that exists. So it's been something. And last night I was there and there was this apartment complex that literally turned pitch black as soon as the sun set. No lights, nothing. It was eerie. I mean, it's like it's like something out of Halloween Horror Nights. You feel like you're in a scare zone like that. And, people are on the last of their candles. They don't have batteries. They don't have this. They don't have that. And we went with just a hot meal. And these, they don't have power. So it's not like you can microwave something. They were telling us about all the food that's spoiled. They try to cook what they could. But then this is a little apartment complex that has a kitchenette because it was like a motel that was retrofitted to be apartments. And so you're talking about, I left there and I told Sam last night on the phone, I felt guilty. Yeah. Because I was going home and I had the things that they needed. And
yeah, I've felt that before many times. Yeah,
and so that's why I feel like we need some type of special counseling for some of us that do this type of work, because it hits you heavy. It is for people that do it. Honestly, there's others that do it just for name rec and stuff, because the politicians have already started to do it here. It's disgusting, but at least you're doing something good for you. But for the people that actually do this day in and day out, it is heavy. And I think that I'm very grateful to be surrounded by great friends like you guys that are always down to for whatever, what do we need and how can we do it, and that's what we're trying to do now.
Yeah, the timing is unfortunate. Here we are, 30 days out from an election, and having to really shift gears in what we're doing every day. But Saturday, our canvas where I work was down all week, and Saturday was our first chance to go out and knock some doors and do a need survey. Did you lose food? Do you have power? What do you need? And what we know about that data is it goes to relief agencies and they begin to pile on support. But it felt to me like the folks that I was encountering. First of all, it was Florida Rising was the organization. They put out cooking stations at 4 big apartment complexes where they knew that nobody had any food left, and they had volunteers ready to go and get out there and cook hot dogs and hamburgers for people, and just sort of begin to engage with what's going to be necessary. And that's in Tampa. We're not even we're still 100 miles north of the worst of what's happened.
Yeah.
And like in what CJ was saying about Eastern Manatee, Hardee County, 99% of people in Hardee County lost their power in this hurricane.
It border
That's
with us.
extraordinary.
So the Mayaca area
Yep.
encompasses Eastern Manatee and Western Hardee County.
Yep, and
And then
Peace
you get
River.
into
Peace River is
Waukegan.
what comes out down there at Punta Gorda. So yeah, it's one big, massive water filtration and flowing system. But what I started out to say was the community down in the devastation zone that broke my heart wasn't Sanibel Captiva. Those are wealthy people mostly. That's a place where even if you work on Captiva or Sanibel for as a housekeeper or a cook, you probably get room and board included in your pay there. That's the way when I was down there at Cabbage Key, one of the interior islands, we got we had room and board provided because none of us could have afforded to rent even an apartment down there. But it's Pine Island and Matlacha inside Pine Island Sound and Charlotte Harbor that's devastating. That's farm people. There are still mango farms on Pine Island. There's there's some industry, some agricultural industry and fishing there, commercial fishing there, and the idea that protected island inside of the barrier island system was just so devastated. It's really worked on me. I spent a lot of great time down there with my dad when he was still around. And like CJ is saying, we might think about the houses and the elderly and the trailer parks, but what about the farm workers? What about the like people that make their living out in the Gulf, sorting shrimp all night? That's not an easy job. And those folks are devastated because there's a price for living in those beautiful little old Florida communities, and they're paying some of it now. So I'm trying to find, this is a thing you wish you would have done before, but I'm trying to find some local small charities down there in the Pine Island and Matlacha communities that maybe we can eventually find a way to support what they need. Now, they're getting immediate support. They're getting helicoptered in water and food, but a month from now, the attention is not going to be focused on that recovery anymore, and they'll still have a lot of needs down there.
That's a sentiment that has been shared a lot here locally. A lot of people said, well, everybody's focused on Fort Myers area and all of that. And I had a discussion this morning with other CJ, and he was on a rampage, like, I mean, just to be complete, he was like, fuck them. They probably voted for Trump anyways. Fuck them all. I mean, fuck their bridge and fuck all that shit. And he's like, if you didn't leave, that's your dumbass's fault. Thank your governor who didn't. I mean, he just kind of started going off. And then I said, the problem is like, when it rains on everybody.
Yeah.
And so amongst those people, though, I agree with him. It's this, my same sentiment with the, hold on.
Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's my same sentiment with like the farmers here. They got insurance. They're getting all the attention right now. They're going to get all the free help. Socialism is only a bad thing when it doesn't involve you. But then we ignore the communities that really, honestly, what it affects is the poor, the people who don't have the means. Like we were thankful to be able to get out of here and escape for a few days, and we weren't expecting to come back to such privileged means, and maybe no power and no food for a few days, and trying to scavenge is an inconvenience to some, but Jesus fucking Christ, it's I don't know how else to describe it, man. It's total chaos. I mean, over here there was intersections not working, car crashes up the ass. People, they're not reporting it, but people were looting here because it was pitch black in the entire county for a while.
Right.
Right.
PL services like close to 200,000 homes here. 180 of them were out at one point.
Jeez.
80,000. That's almost 100% total blackout in this area.
Well, I think what makes us different than those folks is that I want all of them, including the ones that voted for Trump, to have relief here. I want all of them to have the right to have an abortion. I want all of them to have medical care. So I think that's maybe what makes us different. Sam, I'm going to say this in the stream because it's easier than typing it. I just recently had to change the way I paid for StreamYard, and it may be that the settings for Florida for Change got changed with that. So it's possible that we muffed it up when I had to change that.
You know, just to know when things go wrong and you like it more. Maybe that's what's going on right now. Things are going wrong. It's okay.
Yeah. So CJ, you've got some relief efforts working down there in Manatee, right? You said Palmetto.
Yeah, we have. So Palmetto is a very tight knit community. It reminds me a lot of South St. Pete, or at least we're headed in that direction with the gentrification that's currently happening and the development. But there's East Palmetto, West Palmetto. West Palmetto, more waterfront, more affluent. They're fine. East Palmetto is a lot of farm worker communities, black and brown people, and just people that can't afford to be on the west side. And
Right.
we literally have a train track that separates it. So that's why I say akin to St. Pete. You got the train tracks going south, and that basically is the dividing line. South of the Trop. But what we're doing is tomorrow we're working with Meals on Wheels here, the food bank locally. We're going to give out as much food as we can, as much as they'll bring us all day at the Boys and Girls Club. And we're hoping to do this repeated over the week. But they also are very overwhelmed with everybody needing something. So instead of them delivering to us, we're sending in a fucking group of people down there tomorrow morning, and we're just loading up, getting out of here. And then we're also going to be collecting some donations, some supplies, things that people need. One of the biggest things that everyone's asking for right now is toilet paper. They're asking for sorry, the baby. They're asking for dry shampoo, and they're asking for batteries for their flashlights or their little lamps that they have, the fans, because they have no power. So there's a list of stuff that's included on that flyer. I'm creating another one because we need one for because we're going to be at the Boys and Girls Club collecting all week. Tomorrow there'll be a food drive plus we're collecting, but they'll be collecting all week. And then a lot of the people that are connected to people out east or people down in Sarasota, I'm telling them, as it comes in, take it. I'm not hoarding shit. We have it, somebody needs it, take it to them, because that's what it's for. There's this has always confused me sometimes about organizational efforts. Oh yeah, we're gonna put it in storage and we'll give it out on Friday. Fuck, 10 people could have used that between now and then, and they could be close to dead because they didn't have water, they didn't have this, they didn't have that. Take it yesterday, not tomorrow, not today. So that's what we're doing right now. And there's a donation link too for Bold Voter. Anything that gets donated, it's going to go directly to purchasing whatever is needed for this community. This, it's just, there's so much, and there's only so much we can do on an individual basis. But I've always believed in mutual aid, like Sam is also working on, which is everybody helping everyone, because at the end of the day, it's all going to the same place.
Yeah. We help ourselves. We take care of ourselves.
Got to, right?
Yeah.
One of my central lessons for people in counseling is if you're in an airplane and it depressurizes, you got to put your mask on first, right? You can't help anybody else if you're passed out in your seat, right? So we make sure that we're eating and we, have the resources, and then we dig in and scoop people up and do what we can for everybody. Deb Avetta is asking what's going on with I-75. I heard earlier today that it's reopened both directions. They were concerned about it underwashing along the Mayaca River stretch. That's where we were just talking about. But that the I-75 is now open in both directions. That's really good news. I would be really suspect and curious about other roads, north-south roads through eastern Manatee County, because I'm sure there's some problems there as well. Everything's going to be shaky for a little while. And let's take this opportunity to consider that the governor has gone, way out of his way to say that any sort of relief efforts that aren't coming from him are, part of the woke agenda and socialist.
He's telling people not to send resources. He's telling them to donate to the state, and the state fund is overseen by his wife.
When did this happen? I've been
today and yesterday.
Yeah.
Really? He said
that?
Yeah,
the governor is telling people to just give money to the state fund, which is overseen by his wife.
Yep. Let's make sure we understand that this is not an argument that he can win long term. He may win it in this election cycle, but frankly, we're going to have more problems like this. We are into the results, the finding out part of global climate change, and this storm. This is the 5th straight hurricane in the Caribbean and the Gulf that has experienced what they call rapid eye wall replacement cycle and rapid intensification. It didn't always used to happen. This is now we're in an age where each one that develops.
We're saying, it's going to go down to Cat 1 because those are all historical.
Right. Yeah. And
when we passed Cuba, even Nancy and I were like, "There's no fucking way this thing's going from a 3 to a 1, and it's barely getting into warm waters. That's not happening, And then all of a sudden, everybody's freaking out because that was a big thing too. Oh, it's only going to be a Cat 1 when it hits. So, who cares? Yeah,
right. Because the last one was that logic is we need to stop thinking like that. And Jim Cantore was visibly angry when he was explaining that. No, we used to think that they would weaken and stay that way, but what do we got to tell? What do we got to show you for you to understand that this is going to be the new pattern? And I think we should all pay heed to that, and we should pay heed because right now, yesterday, zero congressional representatives in the U.S. Congress voted for hurricane relief. 0 Florida congressional representatives voted for hurricane relief.
I did see that, bunch of assholes.
Yeah. One of our senators voted no, and the other one didn't bother to show up for the vote. Now, this wasn't specifically Ian relief. This was generally funding the fund that goes to states when there's a hurricane. They don't give a fuck about you, about any of you. Yeah. We have to change that, and we got to focus down ticket. We got to make some deep and sustained changes if people are going to survive. I'll tell you that I saw today the confirmed number 77, but late in the day I saw over 100 dead.
Yeah,
that's near record territory for a U.S. landfalling hurricane. That's been very, very unusual.
It's more than we lost during Irma.
Yeah, a lot more. I think there were 7.
A lot of records. And a lot of that has to do too, the greed, if you think about it, in some of these impacted areas where the local commission or councils are just rubber stamping developer approved plans. And so you got high volume, high density in very small real estate places because it's prime real estate.
Yep.
How much of that could have been prevented if you weren't so fucking greedy?
Yeah, and there's a documentary series about Cape Coral, the town that shouldn't exist, because they basically dug out all the mangrove filter system to put all those houses that's just on the east side of Matlacha Pine Island that I was just talking about. It's devastated because they should never have allowed it to be built. That's why.
Right.
They should charge all those developers who built those places with fucking murder.
Yep.
They should.
But they won't.
No, of course they won't, because they're not going to see it that way.
Yeah, well, they're all long gone, right? The people that were responsible for that.
The bullshit, and I'll go as far as like all of them people. You know what? You want some help? Go to your church. Go to your church that also fucking funded Trump. Go to them and let them. That's what they're for, right? Fuck you. Yeah. I mean, it is just insane, and the hypocrisy. It's funny because here locally, now it's like, oh yeah, FEMA relief and blah 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 from some people that it's not the time nor the place yet, but I'm remembering all of this. So I'll pick a fight later because right now we're in recovery mode and I'm too busy helping people.
Well, remember when they told us that FEMA was building death camps?
Yeah,
so they could lock up conservatives and
people
kill them.
still say that.
I know, but it's like
My sister-in-law still thinks that shit.
they're out there literally trying to save people's lives, man.
Right.
I don't know what you do with that. And I've seen that all the way back to Andrew. I'm old enough to remember when, the FEMA response to Andrew was actually pretty good compared to what came after in Katrina. And that's why the Katrina story, it took a week or two for it to get through to me that this is not the same. I had seen the Andrew recovery and it was pretty amazing. We had a pretty good governor. We had a plan and infrastructure in place to deal with what we had to deal with. And they just piled on federal resources and it all worked. But, New Orleans was treated differently. Why? Why? Because it's poor black people.
That's an easy question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's there's not enough of the affluent whites.
Yeah. Well, there is now.
That's how
because after Katrina, that's who moved in.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Lori Bersani, you are not late. You're on time. Yeah, Lori and I were sharing a bit of a chuckle about how close we came to being evaporated here. Like, she's in Spring Hill just north of me, and it was going to get real bad here. Monday and Tuesday, we really thought we were going to get it. Yeah. And I had that weird feeling of elation and guilt at the same time, because here we were with some sticks in the yard and some leaves, unscathed and fine, but 120 miles down the road, people died. A lot of people died. And that's hard to square. I was a little surprised. I shouldn't have been, but I was a little surprised at the Metro Orlando flooding, the Kissimmee and Orlando flooding. But when you pave everything and you don't leave anywhere for the water to go, you pave right up to the edge of the Little Wakiva River.
Right.
Surprise. And I think they were surprised.
We have some friends over there. I have some friends over there that they live next to a lake, like in a community over there. Really nice place. And then she sent me a picture of her husband, my friend Jose, like waist deep in water, and it's inside of their home.
Oh, geez.
She's like, well, Jesus fucking Christ. I'm like, what? And I was like, we spent a few days in Kissimmee at the Mystic Dunes over there, because I figured it's further inland. If we do get impacted, hopefully it's not as bad. It's an open space because it's on a golf course, so there's not a lot of trees.
Right.
So there's very few projectiles, and we were on the top floor, so fuck it. If it starts to flood, we're up here. I was just thinking, right? And they're literally 10 minutes from where we were staying, flooded. And I said, man, it's insane because a lot of people really pay attention to what happened on where it made landfall, but this thing had effects all over the state.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
In Central Florida. It was. I mean, did you see St. Augustine?
Yeah.
They got up there, and that was on the way out.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's one of those wake up calls. I hope for people. Here's a question. Because I'm in a way I'm decompressing while speaking with you guys. But
right.
What impact is this going to have on November? Because shit stopped in Central Florida. Like, it wasn't until today where I started making phone calls to get some of the mailers out and stuff like that. Because the postage barely started in my area today, but it's not going to be working anywhere for a while, at least in some of these counties that's still flooded.
Well, I mean, you think about the areas that are most affected, I mean, the people that are most affected, I mean, it is going to have some kind of impact, and that's tragic.
The one, like I said earlier, when it rains all along. Yeah. So it's not just going to negatively impact the people who would specifically vote for progressive causes.
Right.
It's impacting red people too, and their ability, you know what I mean, or even care about what the fuck they're doing because they're too busy trying to find a place to sleep.
Right.
That's
priorities.
Do we any of us have a good feeling that this governor will say, "Hey, we have to go to extraordinary lengths to make sure people can vote"? Because I don't think he's going to do that.
Come on now.
I mean, he left them to their own devices for relief yesterday and self-evacuation. Right. So why wouldn't he do the same thing regarding everybody's voting opportunities? But I think that's going to be.
Can you repeat that? It kind of cut off for me. What was that?
Yeah, I'm just saying. I don't think the governor is going to go, "Hey, we should make it easier for people to vote because there's a disaster." I don't think he's built for that. I don't think he thinks
God,
that helps him in any way, even if it's red counties that were impacted. You know, Lee. Let's be clear, Lee and Charlotte County is pretty red, but you know, Seminole and Orange not so much. Duval not so much. So, but I don't think he's thinks enough ahead to think that he should be doing something about that. I would bet that some local supervisors of elections are working out what to do to make sure the most possible number of people can vote, and that's what we're going to have to count on.
Unfortunately.
Lori Bersani says a friend told me today his water got shut off in an effort to encourage evacuation.
Where?
I want to see receipts on that.
Yeah.
Maybe they shut it off because they were afraid that they weren't going to be able to process the water or treat the water, and it was going to be contaminated.
I mean, I don't not believe that happened. I generally just want to know where to.
Yeah, I'd like to know where, Lori.
Let's get some receipts.
Jeez, yeah. But there are going to be all kinds of jacked up things that happen now, and people that think it's going to advantage them to keep people from voting are going to be working to suppress the vote further by, you know, that polling station was condemned.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll send mailers out that say your voting location has been closed. So we'll see. Bradenton, Lori. So CJ, that's CJ's stomping grounds. Maybe he can find something out about that for me.
About what? Say that again.
She says that a friend told her today that his water got shut off before the storm in an effort to encourage evacuation. I think maybe you think
no. They actually announced it here.
Oh, okay.
So now cozy chair again. Just got home. It's been a long day.
They said that's why, though, to try and encourage people to evacuate?
You know what they did? Here's what happened. So to begin with, thank you to all the developers and the rubber stamp county commissioners. The reason we had so much flooding was because we don't. First of all, we get flooded over here if a cloud spits on the street. And most of that is just in the minority district. District 2 is known for flooding. Like there's memes, there's groups here, like local groups with memes, you know, shit memes that they post. And a lot of that it just has to do, a drop of water, I'm 6 inches in my house. That's how it is.
Right.
But what they did is on the islands, like Anna Maria Island, Coquina Beach, Bradenton Beach, Holmes Beach, in order to they, according to them, not contaminate the water supply countywide because it's all connected, they shut off the water all along the coast. So there's people who didn't evacuate and haven't had water. Now they can turn it on, but because out of the 700 and something lift stations that exist in the county, more than half of them malfunctioned.
Right.
So we have still to this day are in a very refrain from the drain.
Yeah.
Don't use it unless you have to shit, pee, or take a
right.
You know what I mean? And so again, it just all goes back to density. And you're not putting enough attention to infrastructure. So now they're rebuilding a vast majority of these, but because they have to. But what a time to rebuild and upgrade in the middle of a disaster where people are already frustrated.
Right.
And, but again, they're not stupid. It's like, oh wow, the hurricane ruined our shit. No, it's been ruined. This was just a straw that broke the camel's back, and now we have to fucking deal with it. And
there could be federal funding coming down to help them rebuild, even though it isn't the ultimate cause of what happened. Right, this may be a good time for them to focus,
which would be great for us at least. But it's the short term of long term consequences. You know what I mean?
Two things you said that I wanted to jump in on. They're recognizable, and I'm a Florida boy. I was born in South Florida. I've lived here in Tampa Bay most of my life. We were talking about the wrong side of the tracks thing, right? That's a real thing in just about every southern town, Brooksville, Dade City, anywhere there's train tracks, there's a right side and a wrong side of the train tracks. And when you talk about lower income areas flooding, poverty neighborhoods flooding, that's not by accident. No. That's, basically if you, and this is absolutely true in West Pasco County, Newport Richey, Port Richey, there's an area called Pine Hill Road. And when I was a kid, the joke was that's where all the black families lived. And the reason is they weren't allowed to buy homes anywhere else. They were redlined out of buying anywhere else. There were a few black businessmen who they got their families into downtown Newport Richey. But for the longest time, if you came here from Philadelphia or Connecticut to look for a home, the realtor wouldn't show you the good neighborhoods. They wouldn't make the banker available. That was informal redlining, and it was sort of an agreed upon gentleman's thing between all the realtors and insurance agents in this town. And that went on here until 1980, at least. So anywhere in the South, you will find that there's an area where black families have been living for 100 years. And guess what? It's going to be the low elevation, most likely to flood, shittiest land for any other use. That's where they got put. That's where they got put because Jim Crow, because of everything that happened in the Reconstruction to punish black people.
Debate before Jim Crow never left. We're still living in.
Yeah. I don't have any illusions about that. I just wanted to kind of if you wonder why those people can't evacuate, those people can't. Why do they feel like that's where their families were put?
And is that
very
they're
tough to change that.
The least amount of means to be able to hop up and go somewhere,
right.
But they're the ones in the most danger in case something does fail. Because if it does fail, that's where it's going to fail.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's more likely than not going to fail. And that's just kind of the most upsetting part of it, where, a lot of the efforts that I'm doing locally is just focused. Like yesterday, I told someone, I said, look, as much as I love to help as many as I can, but my hometown, my community needs help.
Right.
Every community has people that will help the community. The community will help itself.
Yep.
And I just happen to have a network. So if I can,
yeah.
The more I get, the more I can share. But, there's only so much you can do. And what enrages me about everything is that nobody's talking about those that are truly affected the most. I've been watching CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, looking at articles, reading them online. I have yet to see them talking about an immigrant community, about a I haven't seen a black person, a brown person, somebody that's not white and female on the TV giving an interview about how this storm has devastated them on any news media outlet. And that is what enrages me, because they're the ones that you're so fucking scared to walk down that street because you're going to get stuck in your car, or you might get struck, by that down power pole that could be, active and on. And it's like, that's the part right there that is like, we know our community well. We know where we have to go. We know what we have to do. And when it push comes to shove, nobody else is going to do it. We got to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it sucks because, all of us are collectively going through some shit. This is affecting all of us in one way, shape, or form. I don't care who you are. As apathetic as you think you are, it's affecting you somehow. If you live Hillsborough, Pinellas, South, it's affecting you in one way, shape, or form.
But we all know people who we still haven't heard from, that we don't know what their status is. And that may go on for weeks.
And it could go on for a long time. And, it's funny because the FPL company was, the CEO was saying, oh, yeah, our systems are strong and they weathered the storm and no damage. Yeah, because you hiked all the prices, and I'm glad you were able to repair some of that. But you're not telling people the whole story. The areas that have never lost light for the most part in our area are the new communities where it's underground wiring.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that, he kept saying they're 5 to 7 times better. Yeah, but make that accessible to all, or work on a plan to put everything underground.
This is that bullshit self-regulation argument. We should be insisting that they go back and retrofit other older neighborhoods with underground cables. We should make them do that as a cost of doing business in our state. We won't, but that's what should happen. That's the only way it happens outside of these new shiny gated communities. That's the only way that happens, is if we, the people, insist that that's something we're going to do.
That's it, and it's my heart has been heavy for a few days, and going through it, and But also blessed at the same time at the response of people coming together and really just being able to cut the bullshit and get to work.
Right.
It's there's always something, it's just and I'm the kind of guy it's like, I'll leave that for later because right
Right.
now we gotta build. But don't think I fucking forgot.
Right.
Right.
Shots and I took screen recordings and
Right.
afterwards right back in your face, you hypocritical.
Forgive, but don't forget.
No, I'm not forgiving shit. I'm just choosing not to. I'm choosing not to pick a fight right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm
There's
foregoing.
time and place. Absolutely.
Go.
Right.
Because I mean it's true. The
No.
same people that will say, "Oh yeah, fuck socialism and fuck the woke left and fuck all the shit," but now you want Daddy Biden's money, right? There now, well, where's Biden? Fuck you! I thought he wasn't your president, bitch. Go ask Trump. Let him give you the fucking money. That's your president, right, motherfucker? I have very strong feelings about it, but at the end of the
You couldn't
day, they're
tell.
still part of our community. And when it rains, it pours on all, and when the sun shines, it shines on everybody. And so our job isn't right now to pick and choose who we can help. It's to just get up and running, and we can figure out the rest. Because more than anything, it's just the people in power, the ones that make the decisions, are the ones that need to be held accountable.
Right.
I'm not going to get in a street fight with the dude down the street who's been brainwashed by the,
Right.
by the media. That's not the person. They need help. They're human too. Even though as much as enraging as that is, but I see the comment.
Which one? We have several of them.
But it is a it's a work in progress, and stuff like this, it really I've seen my own growth over the years because in other years I would have fought with that old guy down the street like fuck you dude, hope you drown. But it's just goes to show. I don't know if it's aging kids or a combination thereof, or Nancy's had a very positive effect on me. I don't know what it is.
That's probably
But,
it. We'll
it
give
probably,
all credit to Nancy is what we'll do.
That's
Credit,
right.
Nancy.
But the
Always
biggest
happy
is just understanding that there's time and place, and understanding that at the end of the day we're all human.
Yeah.
And there's a human element to this.
Allegedly.
And that's what makes me to I use the word enrage a lot, but we have this whole illegal alien versus all this bullshit that the words they use, and so they take away the human element to make it easier to get mad at. It's easier to get something versus someone, and so when you make someone a thing, it's easier to be passive about it and not care, or to be angry at it, and to be able to kind of put that into perspective and be like, look, we're all human. We're all taking care of shit. We all have problems. We all have very similar problems, similar issues, and right now is not the time to pick those fights. And so I guess in a way I'm asking everyone to, a calm head, a cool head always prevails, because even with some people here locally, I've had to talk them down a ledge because they're like, well, that's what they get because it's the fucking commissioners and that's what they vote for. I was like, yeah, but you say that, and then if you act upon it, or if you fail to act upon it, you're affecting us too.
Right. And I don't want anybody asking me who I voted for before they let me in the life raft.
Right.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm not going to do that to anybody else. Right. And I lived next to the country that's now Zimbabwe. It was Rhodesia when I lived there. But, there's a corn crib in every village. There's like a little granary corn crib, and you're saving for two things. You're saving for the dry season for food to eat, but you're also saving your seed corn for the next season for planting. And, when Robert Mugabe took power in Zimbabwe, what would happen was an army detachment would come to your village and ask who you were voting for. And if you gave them the wrong answer, they burned down your corn crib and people died. Right. So if we're going to not become that, this is where it starts. It starts in, having the heart set, not the mindset, but the heart set that I want everyone to be okay. I don't want anyone to become homeless, regardless of what a shithead they were before. This, when we interact with homeless people, and then when we interact with the public to discuss homeless issues, people will ask me, well, how did they become homeless? That is the least important question you can ask.
Right.
Because what that means is you're setting
I
some
don't
line
care.
where if you don't like their story or it doesn't reach your level of acceptance, then they deserve to be homeless. And
Right.
you know, and I'm of the opinion that even if you voted for Trump, you don't deserve to be homeless. That's the whole difference between the
Right.
two kind of places we find ourselves politically. And I'm fine to be polarized about that. I'm good with being polarized against people that feel like you have to deserve it.
Yeah.
Or have voted a certain way or prayed to a certain God to get relief.
Yeah.
I don't think that's where we should be. Certainly not government assistance. You know, if we want to talk about what the churches do, that's why there are church charities. Let them serve only
Go
Christian
over there.
people,
Let
only-
them ask you
like,
the question and
but
make you
as
fill
far
out
as
the questionnaire.
government, with the government reaching in to help people and get things restored, it can't be based on anybody's ethnicity or religion or financial status. At least it shouldn't be, even though we know that in practical terms,
It
that's kind of
usually
where we
is.
are.
Yeah, that's, you know, in practice, that's usually how it turns out. But
Yep.
you know, we're rocking and rolling, man.
We have to.
I feel sorry for Sam sometimes. Sometimes I'll call him and then he asks me, like, in the most sincere way, "How are you doing?" And it's like, well, it's funny you ask, because I'll actually tell you how I'm fucking
Mad
doing.
as hell.
Right.
You know, and
Ain't nothing to feel sorry about, man. I mean, I
How
want to
days
know.
go.
I'm the one who asked. I consent.
that, you know, well, it's one of those, you know.
You're so close to the camera. Oh my god. Hi.
Man,
Hey.
hello.
Buddy.
Can you see me? It's one of those damned if you
All
do,
right.
damned if you don't, you know, because, you know,
Look at
I'm
this
one of those. Look,
performance.
you see that?
Yeah.
That's chaos right there.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
drinking out of the fish tank.
Drinking or trying to eat the fish?
Oh no, they just drink out of. They think.
Oh.
Thanks,
Oh,
Dad,
look.
for putting this giant water fountain in the room for us. That was
Right.
very nice of you.
And the water's always
nobody's
clean.
nobody's tried to dip the fish out of there yet. I'm
See,
sure that'll happen
That's
some
its own form of mutual aid.
That's right. All right. Well, so remind everybody again, CJ, where and how we can help with the relief effort down there at Palmetto.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we're going to be at the Boys and Girls Club in Palmetto, 1600 10th Street West, I believe, here in Palmetto. There's a flyer. I give it to Sam and Greg. I'm sure
Yep.
they'll share
It's
it.
posted on all of our pages.
And we are going to be giving away until supplies last a fuckload of supplies, food, non-perishables, whatever Meals on Wheels can give us, and whatever, you know. And even if we have to make multiple trips throughout the day, we'll just keep replenishing as long as they have it. Obviously, your local food banks, if you guys have them wherever you're at, give, because they're also receiving help from the food bank of Tampa Bay, in
Right.
St. Pete, Hungry, Feeding America, something like that. And so there's a bunch of food banks that are starting to use. Now Manatee is becoming a hub, because from Manatee they're able to take it to
Easier
because
distribution.
it's easier for our area, because it can go east towards Arcadia, Wauchula, Mayaca, and it can go south directly into Sarasota, which their food bank, literally what they did, I think the other day, they just opened up and let people come in, because that shit was going to go bad. It's some of the produce, because they are still without power. So Manatee is the next closest thing to them over there to be able to provide. So our local food bank here is extremely understaffed. It already usually is, but they're the real heroes here, because they are working around the clock. You know, they made deliveries today to Palmetto, to Bradenton, to Sarasota, to Mayaca, and they're just doing the things, and that is amazing. So tomorrow we're going to pick up whatever they'll give us, and if they can leave it there, we'll come back and pick up some more. We'll be at the Boys and Girls Club in the Palmetto area tomorrow. We're hoping to be able to do this across different Boys and Girls Clubs in the county, and even going into Sarasota. But for now, that's the only one that's actually fully operational. It's the only one that has power and internet, because the other ones here still do not. So it's a work in progress. And we're also going to be there all week collecting items, donations. What's really needed right now is batteries, diapers, wet wipes, whether it's like the Pampers ones, or whether it's because it's something that they can use and clean themselves, a quick, gas station shower, as I used to call it, and just get yourself cleaned up, dry shampoo, stuff like that, things that don't require water or electricity to use. Even candles, someone said, if you have a bunch of candles, because it helps them at night, at least, because out there, the further out east you go, the less things
Darker
there are.
it gets.
It is very black. at night. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
see shit. It's dark as hell.
Good week for
Um,
sky watching if you live in East Manatee
Oh
or
yeah, I'm sure a
Western
lot of them are
Hardin
seeing
County.
stars they haven't seen before, but only because
Yep.
they're forced to be outside. It's true, man.
Yeah.
And so being able to we're collecting stuff all week there.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to confirm a few other donation spots where people can go and take. You can text me, you can call me, you can DM me on Facebook. I also have a phone number for another guy who's helping me, Kurt, who has been helping a lot, and he's going to be fielding some phone calls and stuff. So whatever you got, bring it. And if you're too far away, or if you have the means, there's also a link where you can donate directly. And anything and everything will be used directly to purchase these items. One of the biggest things that I want to do with the money that we receive, because ice will melt pretty quickly if you don't get it where it's going.
Right.
So one of the biggest things I want to do is ice to some of these areas so that they can at least have some cold water or drinks, or leave
Right.
it sitting there
Right.
for a bit, or if they have some lunch meat, it's not going to go bad for at least 2 or 3 days. And they can leave it sitting in some ice or even iced water. So those are one of the biggest things that I really want to buy is ice, and being able to put it in our coolers, take them out, distribute, and give it away. Yesterday in Sarasota, I took a huge cooler with ice and water, and people were taking the waters, and they're like, this is the coldest drink I've had all week. And they're like, you mind if I go get a tub and I can take some of the ice out? I was like, well, absolutely. It's going to do me no good in there. And,
that was the biggest need right after Andrew. I remember that specifically, that people were just dying for bags of ice because it was super hot after Andrew in Miami. It wasn't like they didn't get a nice little cool snap right behind it. So it was brutal down there in Dade County.
Yeah.
But that's good thinking. Okay, so Deb said, send me the link. Deb, there the flyer for everything that CJ has been talking about is on the So Local page and on my personal page. It's its own post. It's a nice big blue flyer with all the information you would need to get some supplies headed the right direction. CJ's exactly right that even if you donate where you are, anywhere in Florida, things are flowing in that direction. And all of the people that run food banks are compassionate people who understand the greater need, and they're getting donations locally, and they're moving things in the right direction. It's going to be agonizing to watch because it never happens fast enough. The roads are never good enough. The power grid is never strong enough. So, let's be patient with the relief effort, but let's also keep our state government's feet to the fire about making sure that we get this done right and we make a better plan for next time. Because it's pretty clear, when we have 75 to 100 deaths in one county, that we did something wrong in our hurricane response. It's not a thing that's happened here since the 20s. Is my guess is the Lake Okeechobee hurricane would be the last one.
You are correct. You are formally correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm that guy about hurricanes.
Well, Christina Pushaw, who I believe is now the former press secretary for the governor, now she's back on his actual campaign, admit in a Twitter beef a night or two ago with Peter Schorsch from Florida Politics that the state just kind of left it up to the counties to do, which contradicts what Ron had actually said.
Right.
Ron said that he was on that shit. He was on it. He was taking charge.
He wants to centralize the credit and distribute the blame, which is pretty typical of what he stands for. So.
We know that wasn't true. But
all right.
So
I got just one quick political thing I want to say. I am now the senior organizer with For Our Future. A step up from the 2018 cycle. What that means is I am building a team of volunteers to knock thousands of doors between now and Election Day. And I talked to somebody today that spent some time yesterday doing a postcard drive. And while I appreciate the thought of doing a postcard drive, it is the least useful thing that you can do. We know that getting people to the polls is going to be critical. We can all, I'm sure everybody in the comments that watches our show will understand when we say voter turnout is our most powerful weapon. That doesn't happen with a postcard drive. And let me tell you just briefly why. When you send that postcard out, you don't get any data feedback. In other words, what if that person moved away? What if they changed party? What if they died? You don't ever find out. So we may be sending postcards to people that will never receive them. And we already know that they're far less effective than a phone bank and way less effective than actually knocking on voter doors. So if you want to do something that makes you feel good about yourself, postcards are for you. But if you want to do something that's going to get people to the polls on, the first Tuesday in November, you need to get out and knock doors. And whether it's for Sam or whatever CJ puts together between now and election day, or me, let me tell you the other reasoning. If you ever decide to run for office yourself, or work for a friend of yours that's going to run for office, we all use the exact same data devices on our phones. The program minivan that we use to knock doors and to make phone calls is something you would have to learn to be helpful to that person. So why not come out and learn how to use those tools with me or Sam for free, so that you can invest in somebody's campaign that you love and care about when they run, because we know they're gonna, right? So come out, work a shift with us. It's not as crazy as people make it seem. You come out with 3 of your friends, we'll get you walk a 2-hour turf. You'll feel like you've earned steak dinner or street tacos, and I'll go with you for the street tacos. I know a joint in Tampa that it kills. So I wanted to say, I know we got a lot on our minds, but we are 30 days from the most important election of our lifetime, which has been true of the last 6 elections that we've had here in Florida. So, make some time to get out, learn how to do that, be helpful. Let's get voters turned out at the door so we can change some of these local and state officials that are fucking up, helping people.
Right.
That's it.
Okay, cool.
I just wanted to make people a little bit guilty, just a little.
Well, I mean,
a little bit.
We can't lose sight of what's important.
Right.
Everything we're doing right now is important, but we're also doing a lot of, today just the phone calls about like why I was explaining to Sam, why haven't we done this and why haven't you done that? I was like, well, I kind of just got power back. I know you're up in Cozy up there in Pinellas and Hillsborough.
Ouch.
You guys didn't skip a beat.
Yeah.
But look, motherfucker, we're going through some shit down here.
Right.
And
that's another reason. If you're listening to me and you live in Pasco, Hernando, Pinellas, Hillsborough County right now, maybe this is what you can do for the people in the storm zone. Is get out and knock some doors, because they can't, right? They can't organize and do the things we would normally be doing a month out from an election. Come tote their load down the road, and let's hold Marco Rubio accountable for not fucking showing up to vote on hurricane relief. That's crazy. It's crazy. Disabled people and physically limited people can help by doing postcards. I get that. I'm a disabled people, but phone banking more effective than postcards. Lots of stuff we can do. Now, a locally targeted, focused postcard effort in a local race, I totally see that, but that's not what we're doing. We're sending postcards to voters that we really don't. Again, we don't get any kind of data feedback from them, and that's not as helpful as we'd like it to be. And I don't want to shame anybody that that's all they feel like they can do.
Right.
But if you think with a friend's help you could, some hand holding, you could do more. This is the moment. This is the time to do that. So
right. Hey, postcards still aren't as worthless as sign waving.
That's true. That's very true.
I will shame sign waivers. It is useless.
I will. If you see them, FaceTime me, and I will shame them through FaceTime.
Well, there is a group of people that call themselves St. Pete for Change and refuse to change their name even when we ask very nicely. And that's all they do is they have sign wavings. They do sign wavings.
Well, again, they get to feel good about themselves.
Oh, they feel great about themselves. There's a million pictures.
Yeah,
every single time. Yeah. But all they do is wave sign.
Thing, people. Now that you say that picture, because I mean, you run into there's some novice, organizers around town.
Right.
This is their first, rodeo in many ways. And let's be cognizant, anybody, about what we're doing here. The only reason I'm announcing and stuff and we're doing this, that, or the other isn't because of my fucking ego, but because we need the help. Right. I don't go around telling people, oh, look, I did this and I did that, because if I did, I'd have a lot
like that person.
We all do. Fuck you.
Right.
Like yesterday, I was witness to many. Like, can I take a picture of you? For our Facebook. That way, You're asking someone who is going through a crisis,
Right.
who has
Right.
no power,
Perform.
who can't shower, who can't do this and that, for a food that you just gave them out of supposedly the kindness of your heart. But I want to take a picture of you so I can put it on my social media and everybody knows I'm a fucking hero.
Yeah,
First-
we stopped doing that with the homeless like right away. As soon as somebody warned
first,
me that
very
that's not a healthy
lucky
thing.
that I
Yeah.
didn't say anything, because I was on like, can you put your fucking phone away
Right.
and stop?
Yeah.
Announce all you want that you're doing something because you need donations or you need this and you need that.
Right. Right.
But there's a line you don't want to cross, and that's a big one for me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even with one of the families that we helped recently, that the parents, you know, the kids are orphans, the parents died.
Yeah.
I tried my best to buffer them from the media. Like, look, I know what you guys want, and they did a lot of like food truck rallies and stuff like that around here for them. And they were like, "Oh, can the family come?" And I said, "Look, if they go, it's because they want to go, because they're gonna get some food, and they want to be thankful. But they're going through a lot and they're grieving. So if you just want them there for the photo op, I'm telling you right now, you're not gonna like who I'm gonna be
Right.
when that happens." And then they're like, "Well, never mind, don't bring them, because all you want is a fucking picture. Do something because you want to do it. Don't do something because you want to share it on fucking Facebook and put people who are going through a crisis all
Right.
over your fucking shit. Stop. I'd rather you do nothing. Fuck you, because that's
You know what I think? I
you know,
think we could fix all of Florida's problems if we had 10 CJs in every county.
I mean, I think Florida would take over the world if we had 10 CJs in every county. Let's slow down
You'd be
there.
annexing Alabama and Georgia.
it's- you know, the thing is like,
Yeah.
you know, I've been that guy. That's the,
As Dave points out, you know, a lot of our politicians are engaging in this behavior. They're
Oh,
taking a lot
yeah.
of pictures. They're showing up. They're not really doing much.
akin to Trump's throwing the toilet paper at Puerto Ricans. You know, just like, oh my fucking goodness.
That's a fucking thing that happens. That happens.
You know,
That's
this is comedy. This is not satire.
Yeah.
The couldn't come up with this shit.
Right.
That is the thing, and this type of ego. And at the end of the day, I told my dad earlier, because he was really mad about, you know, he started seeing the death toll rise, and he's like, you know, this is the governor's fault. You know, he should have evacuated them, this, that, or the other. I was like, look, he downplayed the vaccines, and he downplayed COVID as much as he could. This to him is a fucking Sunday morning. I said, this is not a big deal. He's doing it because it's election year.
Yeah.
I can't imagine if this had happened in a non-election year.
Right.
The level of apathy that we would be getting
Right.
on it, you know, and good, maybe in a way it's a good thing it happened in an election year, because he's calling everybody, you know, everything under the sun to get some real help, which is a good thing, you know. But again, it's going to bamboozle a bunch of folks into thinking he is some saint or whatever. And,
Right.
you know, the reason he wants to centralize all the funds is because he also wants credit for FEMA and all the federal aid, because people don't understand how that works.
Yeah.
You know, and so he wants to take credit for all of it. That's just how it,
Well, you know, the thing is that I always try to remind people when they go, oh, well, Ron DeSantis did the one thing, or well, Trump did the one thing. It's like, yeah, that's their job. Their job is public service. You don't get a cookie for just doing the job. That's just the job.
Right.
The sins are not erased from one good thing. They are supposed to do those things.
that's kind of, I mean, that's literally in the job description.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
make sure that your constituents are safe, they have a place to live, and reduce the amount of natural deaths if you can.
Yeah.
That's like literally in the paperwork, I think, you know. But you know, it's
Right.
just
That is the job description.
when you said the picture thing, it kind of triggered that response from yesterday, because it's like, it's disgusting, you know. I don't go and take pictures with people and be like, oh yeah, like, no, let's not do that, you know. And every now and then, you know, someone will tag me like, thank you so much. I was like, you know, can you, I'm the guy like, can you take that down please, because, you know, and I make a joke out of it, like, because then everybody else is gonna ask me because they want me to you know. But more than anything, because it's like, for me, it's like, you know, it's weird. I texted Sam the other day about, you know, it, you know, I want to do something, but it feels weird because it sounds to me like I'm tooting my horn, but that's not what I'm trying to do. And it's like, okay, help me word this shit, you know, and then there's people that just don't give a damn. I do this and I do that, and
Right. Right.
it's just like, you know what, dude, just sit the fuck down. Like, literally, you know. But whatever, I could
All
go
right.
on.
I want to wrap
Thank
this
you.
up. Time to go get some dinner. I know,
Well,
CJ, you've had a long day. I know you want to get you put your feet up for a little bit and savor the Buccaneers' great game yesterday, because
You
that was
know, Tom Brady finally came through on my fantasy team. That's all I care about right now. But
oh,
fuck, man,
it was not
you
fun
know,
to watch.
the day the defense doesn't show up and the offense shows up, but I mean the defense just stayed home. But
Yep.
I do want to think that a lot of it also has to do with the fact that even though these are very pampered athletes,
Right.
but they do have a lot of ties to the communities
Yep.
that they live in.
yeah.
And this week was traumatic for all of us.
Right, and
You
you'll
know,
see them getting out. You'll see the real ones getting out. You know, Brent Grimes, his wife Miko. I produced her podcast for a couple of years, and without any kind of fanfare or recognition, they came up here every Thanksgiving to my county. They didn't live in Pasco County to feed homeless folks out in Moon Lake. They just did it every year for several years. So that'll happen, right? These players will recognize that there's some things they got to get done. So,
absolutely.
all right. I
Right.
also found out good news for me in the World Cup games coming up in November. The U.S. team, all of our group games are at 2 p.m. So I'm not going to have to get up at 2 a.m.
Well,
to
there
watch the
you
U.S.
go.
team. I didn't see the Mexico start times, but we'll argue
11
that
or
later.
2, so it's perfect for me. It just
Beautiful.
means I'm going to do a lot of day drinking in November.
I want to come down and watch a game with you.
Oh man,
Like if you're going to have a get together
no,
or,
we will
Can we
throw
do
a
that?
party. Every fucking game is a party, and that Mexico Argentina game
oh
is going
my.
to be epic.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
I'm
you know
sure.
it's already
It's gonna be
sold out.
disruptive.
It's the number one ticket seller of the entire World Cup to date.
I'm
They
sure.
sold out the second the tickets were released.
Wow.
And the Mexico jersey is already, as they always are, the number one selling jersey, the new kit that just came out
Right on. Right
of
on.
all the countries. We're fanatics like crazy. Like I'm waiting to get mine because I'm still gonna lose another 15 or so pounds, make sure I fit in the
All right.
kit that I
Yep.
buy.
Yep.
But you know, absolutely, let's do it.
All right.
But all right, guys, you have a
Thank
great
you,
night.
everybody.
Thank
You know,
you.
like we
Hold
said,
on,
look for
hold on.
the flyer on the
Oh,
Soloco Live page.
Sam's.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sam?
I got to share some stuff with the people. I got my own mutual aid stuff. I got to plug.
yeah.
Got to make sure that we're helping some people out. Let me share my screen real quick. And boom. So this is Mutual Aid Disaster Relief. It is a network that stretches throughout the country. We have a local hub, and we are gathering supplies here at 609 West Waters Avenue, Tampa. That is Waters Church. If you literally just put in Waters Church in Google Maps, it will take you here. We're collecting food, water, first aid, tarps, and of course, solidarity. We're collecting the good energy, good vibes. I'm there every single day this week from 1 to 3. There is someone there pretty much all the time between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. And we're taking stuff not only right down to Fort Myers and to Sarasota. If you are in need or know people in need in our community in Tampa Bay, you come by and you take what you need. That's the point
Nice.
of mutual aid is there is no means testing.
Right.
We're not going to put caps on anything. If you need it, you take it. If you've got something to bring, you bring it. We just ask you that you bring respect.
And as we know, as we learned on Saturday, there are people in Tampa that had no power until Saturday morning and lost all of their food. So
Correct.
we know there are people in Hillsborough and Pinellas that likely need some help.
Right. And just, continuing on, Justin Garcia, who is a great friend of the show, and we love his work, is actually doing the work with Mutual Aid Disaster Relief. He's been taking stuff down to Fort Myers, and our friend Dave Decker, also a friend of the show, also with Creative Loafing, has been going with him, taking photographs like this one. Just really driving home how destructive this was, because I think something that we kind of touched on earlier that's been bugging me. A lot of people in Tampa Bay, I don't think it's real for them just how destructive this hurricane was for so many people.
Right.
And I think it's important just to see some of it. Of course, we're just kind of going through images of what we've been collecting. We really need medical resupply right now. We're getting PPE. We're getting a little bit of everything. But, I mean, you can see a building here utterly destroyed. Just look at that thing. And obviously the houseless population, the working poor are getting hit harder. flooding, unimaginable flooding, and
Oh, that's Venice Beach. That's north of Fort Myers by quite a bit. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's South
Well,
County, Sarasota.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they've been going throughout, and that is the point. They are going to everyone and everywhere. Got another thing here. They actually donated this solar trailer to the Love Art Repeat Gallery in Sarasota. People can charge devices. They can take showers, get haircuts, get food. That's at 734 Central Avenue, Sarasota. If you happen to be in that area and you have need, it's Greg Cruz, I believe, owns the art gallery here that is hosting this trailer. It's a very great opportunity. And then really on a lighter note, I just wanted to mention, because it's been a while since we were on the show and the hurricane happened. I've talked a lot about the Andrew Joseph situation, the young boy who was tragically killed because of the misconduct of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department back in 2014. The family had been in court trying to finally seek justice. Qualified immunity was denied for the cops involved, and the family won. The family won that shit. They got $15 million. The Hillsborough sheriffs were formally, condemned. They had to actually accept blame. It is a legal truth that the Hillsborough County Sheriff.
It's also a legal rarity. Cops being held accountable in this way is very rare.
What's great is that sets a precedent, and that's something that we can potentially use in other cases in other states, and it's a powerful thing. I just wanted to make sure that we were ending things on a light note. Some good things have happened recently. Some good things have happened, y'all.
Let the good times roll.
Momentum.
Keep rolling.
All right.
It.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you very much. Cesar, thank you for joining us and giving us the heads up about what's going on down there. I like it when it gets personal, when we're talking about our own lives and the lives of people we see and know every day. So thank you very much for coming to share that with us.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Sam, as always, couldn't ask for a better partner and host in this. And we're back Monday night, 6 o'clock is our normal time. We're adaptable, but if you want it later than that, that's great. We can do that too. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you to our friend Kelly Smith Realty. Thank you again to CJ and his partners for supporting the show, and all of you who contribute on Patreon. That's my renewed the StreamYard money for this month. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. And we're back Monday with another show. And as we always say when we close it out,
Sasquatch is real.
And since we're talking about Southwest Florida, the skunk ape, also real.
Skunk ape is real and probably contributes to mutual aid, and so should you.
That's right.